Tax season is in full swing, and our Jeanie Hahn is caught up with Nina Olson, the IRS's national taxpayer advocate, yesterday, and she joins us now from the newsroom. What did she tell you, Jeanie?
She told me that the IRS is still digging out of the work that piled up during the shutdown. It will be like this for another 12 to 18 months, as that time is not something that you can just get back, as they were being trained during that time. They were supposed to be trained the first 2 weeks of January. And so what they're saying is that the Advocate Olson's estimates of the helpline for the phone calls being answered is only 25% compared to 48%, which is what the IRS reports. In addition to this, as part of her annual report to Congress, she suggested the phone lines as well as the IT systems get a major upgrade. Now, this is not going to be easy, as there have been budget cuts for the past 9 years, but right now, taxpayers' information is stored into 60 different IT systems. So let's say you call and you try to make a payment, it's not necessarily reflected in another part of the IT system. So this is a huge concern, resulting in mounting frustration.
And Jeanie, you talked about the security aspect there being a big concern. What are some other issues that Nina Olson said are a big concern going into tax season?
Certainly. I asked her if it's so archaic and they built these systems in the 1960s, is the IRS vulnerable for being hacked? And she said to me, millions of hack attempts happen every day on our systems, but she does believe that their security systems are very good. She does note, however, that it's very difficult to retain good talent, especially during the shutdown. They lost 25 IT employees every single week when they could just go to the private sector and not have to deal with the mess of the shutdown. So that is another challenge that they are struggling with.
Jeanie, thank you. We want to talk more about taxes with the panel. The IT issues, obviously worrisome. We hear about this, it seems, every tax season, and the IRS still hasn't updated its software and its protections.
They managed to cash our checks, though, somehow, so it can't be all bad. You know, I think we see it as a company, too. We have several thousands of hack attempts on our systems too, and I think over the years a lot of companies have, you know, sort of adjusted to that and built antivirus software to defend that. So, of course, it's concerning. I think there's a security issue there. There's an overload issue on the systems themselves, and you know, checks getting out, checks coming in. So I think that, you know, as taxpayers, you certainly want to sort of dot all your I's, cross all your T's when sending your tax refund back to the IRS, and you know, maybe that means going to a paper system this season.
And how much of it is an issue of, you know, you have budget cuts throughout Washington, not paying on IT spending, infrastructure, software improvements? I think that's the bigger issue, is the government needs to fund these things because these are critical. I mean, getting paid for the government to pay for other stuff is a critical part of what the government does. So shouldn't they have the proper kind of your updated Symantec software? There
is one thing, though, with the cutbacks with the IRS, is that the number of audits has been on the decline year over year over year over year. So I don't think everyone is in such a rush to fund the IRS, at least in that regard.
It could trickle down, though. I think, like, if the refunds don't go out fast enough, you know, we're expecting these big refunds in a lot of cases, and the consumer has been strong and healthy, and I think that you know, will boost up spending in the next couple of months. So I do think that getting those refunds out will be an important
although that
factor
raises the question that we've heard from cybersecurity experts over and over, right? Which is that, you know, these agencies haven't woken up to the actual concern and the risk that's out there. What do you think are some of the other risks that are being overlooked as we go into the tax season?
I think a lot of it just comes down to what Pras mentioned, just having the infrastructure and the technology to handle the tax season, and you know, and how that trickles down to the actual spender and consumer in the markets. I think it all comes down to technology and having enough of employees to handle the workload.